Hello, I'm Sarah. I'm an aspiring author, and I haven't worked on my novel in a whole week. But I'm trying not to panic. I'm a freelance writer. I write reviews for K-dramas from time to time. And last week, I wrote 2 reviews for this drama that was quite soul-sucking, to say the least. So I did need some time to work on those. I actually think it's beneficial to take breaks from your writing project. And I do try to take breaks every now and then if I've had like a heavy writing period or I'm just feeling exhausted. Sometimes you just need a break, especially if maybe you have a full-time job, a part-time job, whatever. The thing with me is if I'm out of my writing groove for too long, if I'm away from my writing project for too long, it's very hard to get back in. I might get used to my break and just kind of stay in the break for too long. And I've been trying to find ways to prevent that and to have the time to relax, but eventually get back to it and work when I need to. For me, an easy way to do that is to read comp titles. So books that are similar to what you're writing, similar in genre and story and character, whatever helps you get in that headspace. I am writing a YA romance novel, so of course I am reading plenty of YA romance. That's most of what I read anyway. And my project does have some fantasy elements. My main character is a psychic, so I've been reading books like If You Could See the Sun by Anne Liang. Also Anne Liang, I Am Not Jessica Chen, one of my favorites of 2025 so far. And then Sarah Suk writes some very cool contemporary fantasy / science fiction. And then I've also read some adult romances like Happy Medium, The Lovers. I've noticed that there are a lot of adult romance novels that have to do with mediums or psychics or tarot readers, but I haven't seen a lot of that in YA. I have with this, Death in the Cards, and that's pretty good. But yeah, my story, my character isn't a tarot reader. She's a different kind of psychic, but it's still nice to just see what people are doing with this kind of genre. So I'm going to be starting 2 new books today. I do read multiple books at the same time. That's just how I power through my TBR list because there is so much to read. This first one is called Love at First Fright, an adult romance about a horror writer who can also see ghosts. And one of her novels is adapted into a film, and she falls for the lead actor, so that sounds fun. And then this is a YA novel called Needy Little Things. And this is about a girl who can hear what people need. So she'll have someone next to her and she can hear, oh, this person needs gum, or this person needs a phone charger, things like that. And she also gets involved in a missing persons case. So this is, I think, more of a thriller. So I think I'll get started with Love at First Fright and see what we're working with. This is an interesting passage. This book needed to be written, but the previous book was in copy edits, whilst the subsequent book needed to be researched and planned out. She felt like a conveyor belt, always churning out words, never stopping to breathe. Rosemary would think about breathing when this book was done. Ooh, I relate, and yeah, I know. Once authors actually get their first book published, it kind of just starts a cycle, and it does kind of feel like a conveyor belt, which is something I've always been nervous about, but excited about for whenever I joined the publishing industry. I really like this one so far. It really has me thinking of how annoying it would be to have this ability, especially if you're in school and you're just hearing what all of your classmates need. But I mean, me, by myself, I guess I would just hear what my dog needs, which would be food. I think I'm going to make some lunch, give my dog some attention, some much needed attention. Then I'll get back to reading, and later, hopefully, get back to writing. It's late into the night. I got some reading done. I finally got some writing done. Applause. I'm glad to be back in the groove. Hopefully I won't get thrown off again. But yeah, it felt good. I didn't get as much done as I would have liked, but I'm just happy to get things started, and hopefully I can build things up again. Work my way up to a decent word count every day. I'm still trying not to get hung up on a word count, but it is important, I think, to at least have a set goal and have something to work towards. But even so, I don't want it to discourage me or make me feel bad. Like, I don't want to fall into a depression if I don't hit like 1,000 words in a day. I just want to write as much as I can. I'm glad that I started reading these comp titles today, especially the YA novel. A big reason that I think it's so important to read YA novels while I write is I remember that my simple writing style is valid, because there are a lot of YA authors who write beautiful lyrical prose, but there are also YA authors I really admire and respect who write like me. And it's really reassuring, and it helps. But of course, I'm going to overthink every sentence, every paragraph I write. I'm going to obsess. It's just going to happen. That's how I am. How a lot of writers are, I'm sure. But I just have to stop myself if I get too into it and just move on. So at the end of a good session, which I think I did have today, I can look back briefly because I don't want to get too into it and start editing. But I look back and I'm like, yeah, this writing isn't great. It's not your best, but you know what? I got all this progress done. I wrote a full scene or I wrote a full chapter. I'm good with that. I'm content. Now it is mid-October, so November is coming up, and you know what that means. I do plan to participate in Nanowrimo, or I guess Nanowrimo was technically a company, and that company did shut down. I believe other companies are kind of doing the same thing, and they're calling it Novel November or something else. Either way, I'm participating in trying to write a bunch of words in November. The last time I participated in NaNoWriMo, I was able to finish the project I was working on. So I'm feeling very optimistic and very hopeful that I can do the same with this project. And I can finish it, finally, move on with it. I feel like with this particular project, I've been really frustrated because I love the story so much and I want to finish it so I can read it, like, as a reader and show it to my writer friends who have also been wanting to read it, and we can just fangirl together. I want to see it in its entirety, so I have to write it. Writing really is that weird balance of being kind to yourself, knowing when to relax, to self-care, look after your mental health, but it is also remembering that this is work. It is something you have to do. You have to physically sit down, type words in order to create this book. I am not going to use any website to track my progress. I don't know, I feel like ever since the whole NaNoWriMo AI thing, I just try to steer clear of those things. So I'm just going to keep track on my own. And I would like to hit 500 words a day. I think that's a decent goal to set. It's not too much, but it's not too little. I would like to strive for 1K a day, but I think I'm just going to make that it would be nice to hit that kind of goal, not a fall into a depression if I don't hit it type of goal. And then by the end of November, I'm hoping Project Psychic will reach the end. And then going on to the next step, and the next step, and the next step. Eventually going to querying, which, yeah, let's not think about that just yet. If any of you guys are doing NaNoWriMo 2, good luck. Godspeed. We can do this. Whatever you're working on, whatever your goal is, whether you're writing an entirely new project in 1 month, you're just trying to finish something like I am, we got this. We can do this. Okay, so I will talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.